Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the NSE Virtual Fair session on student accessibility and support on exchange. My name is Lydia Richards. I use she and her pronouns, and I am one of the coordinators at Iowa State University, so one of the member institutions of NSE. And I'm joined on the call today with some colleagues from other institutions throughout NSE to present on this topic. So I'll just wait a minute or so for folks who are hopping on. But while we're doing that, just to reminders, please keep yourself muted while we are in the session today. We would love to see your face if you're comfortable with video, but understand if you are not. That doesn't mean that the chat needs to be quiet, so we'd love to know who's on the call today. So if you feel comfortable, go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat, and feel free to use that as the session goes along. The other coordinators on the call are going to help keep an eye on that and answer any questions kind of as we go along. We want to stay connected with you after our short time together today, so please feel free to stay connected with us on nse.org and social media. We have a really active Instagram presence especially, so feel free to connect with us there at the NSE HQ handle. I've seen the number of participants slow down, so I think that means we're ready to get going. Again, my name is Lydia Richards. I use she and her pronouns, and I am the one of the coordinators at Iowa State University for National Student Exchange. Joined on the call today is David Holliday from the University of Minnesota. You want to say hi, David?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for being here today. I work both for National Student Exchange, but I am the NSE coordinator at the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities.
We've also got Kenya.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kenya Chavez, and I am at California State University, Chico. I am one of the National Student Exchange coordinators for students coming to Chico and also students applying through Chico to go to other states. Nice to see you all.
And then finally, we've got Casey on the call.
Hi, everyone. My name is Casey Lyons, and I work at Chico State University also in the Accessibility Resource Center. So we have a team of advisors here to support students with accommodations.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Like I said, you're welcome to introduce yourself in the chat. We'd love to know who's here and whether you're a student or a coordinator at another campus hopping on. So what is National Student Exchange? Before we kind of get into our topic today of student support and accessibility, we wanted to take a step back and talk a little bit about what National Student Exchange is. So National Student Exchange, or NSE for short, provides accessible collegiate study away to undergraduate students at more than 170 member colleges and universities across the United States, Canada, Guam, Puerto Rico, and the US Virgin Islands. We value diversity, open-mindedness, and cross-cultural engagement, fostering learning, understanding, respect, and a sense of community among all people. We believe that adding a collegiate study away experience enhances education and enriches student growth. So some key things to keep in mind or to know about NSE. Each institution sets their own eligibility guidelines, payment plan options, and policies. So the information we are going to share here is general NSE info. So we encourage you to check with your home coordinator to learn more about your unique options for payment plans, eligibility, and more. So for NSE, in terms of finances, there's two ways that you pay for your exchange through National Student Exchange. Home pay, that's when you pay tuition and fees right to your home institution, so the normal rate that you are used to paying there, right on your bill, and then you exchange at the host institution, excuse me. So everything in terms of tuition and fees gets paid directly to your home institution. That's home pay. The other option is host pay, and that's when you don't pay anything for tuition and fees to your home institution. You pay everything directly to the host institution, and that rate is the in-state or the resident rate at the host institution. For academics, all majors are welcome. You can complete elective and or major courses on exchange, depending on the host institution and their availability. As far as eligibility, it looks like having higher than a 2.5 grade point average, being in good standing at the home institution, and having full-time student status. Some institutions do have additional eligibility requirements like a higher GPA, so we really encourage you to check with your home coordinator to start to kind of understand what your eligibility would look like for your desired host institution. Through National Student Exchange, you can exchange for a semester or a full academic year at another institution that's part of NSE. So I mentioned this home coordinator quite a few times just now. If you don't know who that person is, you can find out on our website, which is nse.org. There will be a pop-up that asks you what your home institution is, so the institution that you're currently attending. You can enter that information there, and then your host or your home coordinator's information will pop up. We've got a brief video we'll play for you all. Okay, so that was some general NSE info. If you have any questions about that, again, welcome you to put some questions in the chat or stay on till later when we can answer them live after we're done presenting here. So today we wanted to get on the call and talk about student support and accessibility on exchange and really share the message that NSE can be for any student and kind of highlight that study away in the US may be more accessible and possible for some students. So today you'll hear from NSE coordinators, David, Kenya, and I, and a campus partner from Chico State, Casey, on how you might go about finding an exchange institution, how you can prepare for your exchange, and some support that you can have through the process on your home campus.
Great, thanks so much. So the number one step that we encourage all of you to do is to research the host campuses. NSE.org is your home base for learning more about NSE, seeing the list of schools, and identifying a few campuses that you think would be a good fit for you. So specifically students with accommodations, if you need classroom, housing, or other accommodations, do some research initially on the NSE website. I'm going to point out some great resources available there for you to find. But also we encourage you to reach out to your home NSE coordinator. And Lydia did share that link. I put it in the chat there. Connecting with your home campus coordinator is really the best next step. Now, regarding accommodations, NSE encompasses schools within the United States. We also have schools in Canada, Guam, Puerto Rico, US Virgin Islands. All of them are going to offer a baseline and probably pretty high level amount of accommodations for students, specifically with, a lot of the typical ones, extended time test taking, note takers, things like that. You can trust that most NSE coordinator or campuses are going to offer those basic accommodations. If you might require anything above and beyond some of those basic accommodations, talk to your home campus coordinator. In some cases, they may need to reach out to that host school to make sure that that campus is a good fit for you. So there is some communication that can happen prior to placement. Just a quick note on non-traditional students. These are, non-traditional aged college students, students with families, with kids, with spouses. NSE can be such a great fit for all of you as well to participate in this program, because again, all of our campuses have your student populations on that campus as well. So thinking about NSE as a good fit for non-traditional students would be important as well. And then with undocumented students, NSE does support and encourage undocumented students to participate in the program. There are some special considerations, of course, to make regarding state campus policies, payment plan eligibility, things like that. So we actually do encourage the student, if you're comfortable, to identify yourself to your home NSE coordinator. They do have a list of campuses that do publicly identify themselves as welcoming and affirming of an undocumented students specifically, that NSE coordinators can access. So first of all, talk to your home campus coordinator. They're going to provide a list of campuses that would be a good fit for you specifically, but also do a lot of your own research. There is great information on the website listed right here, higheredimmigrationportal.org/states. That really does a great job of documenting state policies that may impact your comfortability or your safety in that particular state. And so make sure you check out that website too. But again, NSE does welcome undocumented students to participate in the program. I do see a quick question in the chat. I'll just answer, William. NSE is really geared towards undergraduate students. That is the majority of who participates in the program and how the program is geared. But we have had a few graduate. Are you asking, are you a graduate student or have you graduated from college and now looking at it? I guess just to specify. Well, I'll keep talking here. So graduate students, we have had a few students participate in the program. Talk to your home campus coordinator to see if it's a possibility. Graduated students, those that are out of school and no longer enrolled, really would not be able to participate in NSE. You will be graduated in 2025. So, NSE's students typically are sophomores or juniors, but seniors also are welcome to participate in the program. So, William, you could look at participating in NSE your senior year before you graduate, but talk to your home campus coordinator about graduation requirements, whether or not you can actually participate your senior year. I should also say that it's not too late to participate in NSE for spring 2024. So if you're a junior right now, William, you could look at spring 24 as an option. Next slide, please. So there is some information available on the NSE website for you to do some initial research. So on a campus profile towards the bottom, you're going to see these 5 little buttons. One of them says resources right here, where you're going to see a lot of campus resources at that prospective host school that you're looking. There is a section on academic success and support, on learning accessibility, physical accessibility as well as undocumented student resources. So if you identify with any of those areas or anticipate needing those services or resources on that campus, certainly take a dive into those links on the campus profiles. Those will redirect you back to that host campus website. So do a lot of the research yourself, but like I said, use your home campus coordinator as well as a resource. Either they're going to have experience already with sending or receiving students from that other school, but specifically they can reach out to that other campus to determine if that school may be a good fit for you. Next slide.
All right. So once you have connected with your home campus coordinator to discuss what your top placement location is, the idea is that you will proceed with your application requirements and the placement process. Every campus is a little bit different, so you want to make sure that you are connecting with your home campus to be able to talk about what the requirements are to be considered for placement at your top campus choice. There is a direct process and what's also called the priority process. The priority period usually is around February, March as a deadline for campuses. The idea is that, so say you're interested in being considered for a fall 2024, academic year 24-25, or even a spring 2025 placement with NSE. The idea is that there is a priority period to be considered. So you definitely want to start planning now, even if you're thinking about spring 2025, which is a while away, right? But the idea is that you can be considered during the priority period and learn really early and plan for your top program choice that way. There is a direct placement period after the priority period where coordinators can work with students interested in campuses that are still available for placement after that priority period has wrapped up, and we can assess a little bit more directly whether a placement at your top campus location is still feasible. And so that can happen on a rolling basis. So a few options there and a few strategies for success to consider if you're thinking about NSE. Next slide, please. Okay, so what happens after you receive that placement? The idea is that you can connect with the host campus at that stage. So say I have a student that is interested in being placed at David's campus. Once we have a conversation about, okay, during the direct period at least, is this placement an option? And the student is placed, then the idea is that students can start talking directly with David, talking directly with the campus resources at David's campus, and start organizing for their semester or year of exchange. The host coordinator, as you see here on the slide, is definitely the expert, right? So I've never been to David's campus before, but David is there, right? So lean on both your home campus coordinator for support with planning pre-departure, as well as your host campus coordinator who can give you those direct resources and connect you with different offices, such as the Accessibility Resource Center. Okay, so I'll pin that, and I see David's unmuted himself. So is there anything else you want to touch on for this slide?
No, you did a great job. I will say, no student has to disclose any sort of part of their identity as part of the application process. But after placement, once you've been accepted, that's especially when you're encouraged to reach out to identify yourself and specifically any services or accommodations you might require to ensure that campus can begin the process to accommodating you. That was the main thing I was going to say.
Perfect. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
So some key points that we want people on the call to take away is that NSE is open for all people, all students. We want to be a program that students feel comfortable and is accessible to them. So we encourage you then to carefully research your best fit, make a list of schools that have the programs, the supports that's going to make this exchange a successful, fun, fulfilling opportunity for you. We encourage you to plan early and ask for help when you need it, both from your home coordinator prior to placement and your host coordinator after placement. I encourage you to be proactive in setting up those support system resources that you're going to need to be successful at the host campus. So now we'll give it over to Kenya and they'll share more about the Cal State Chico campus and what it could look like to be a student there.
Wonderful. Yeah, so we'll do a little snapshot of what Chico State as a whole, kind of what our campus looks like, population and things like that. And then we'll dive into the Accessibility Resource Center as well and talk about the support services offered through their office. So I'll jump right in. Again, my name is Kenya Chavez. I'm one of the National Student Exchange Coordinators at Chico State. So if you're interested in attending Chico State, I would be a host campus coordinator who would be available to support you through your processes. The idea is that with the California State University system, there are a number of different state campuses throughout California, and Chico is one of them. We are located in Northern California, about an hour from Sacramento, in Lassen Volcanic National Park. We're about 3 hours away from San Francisco and Lake Tahoe. Our population is about 13,800 students, so we are a medium-sized institution. And our campus is really beautiful, as you can see in the picture and in my background here. It's located right next to the charming downtown Chico, so it's really easy to really kind of flow into connecting with the community because the campus is really at the heart of the city. I was actually born and raised in Chico, and I went to Chico State too. So I can tell you from personal experience, it was a really wonderful educational opportunity to continue to study in my home city and to be able to attend Chico State. It's definitely a warm and welcoming atmosphere in town. We have lots of like dining in the downtown area, retail, farmers markets as well. And the campus does kind of have a park-like feel. We have what's called Big Chico Creek, which runs through the heart of the campus. And we also have nearby Bidwell Park, which offers over 3,500 acres of endless opportunities to enjoy the outdoors. So you can definitely try hiking, camping, river rafting, etc. The university actually offers student-led trips with adventure outings, which is one of the student-run organizations on campus. And so Chico really does have a true college town feel. The majority of the campuses live within a 1-mile radius of the university. So you'll see a lot of students biking or walking to campus. And about 90% of students live close enough to be able to do that. And one of the great things about housing options for students is that the cost of living in Chico is one of the cheapest in California. So that really makes attending Chico State a really budget-friendly option if you're considering national student exchange in California. In terms of academic offerings, we have over 300 different options, everything from engineering to humanities and fine arts. And we have animal science. We also have a university farm. And in terms of classroom size, we have a 23-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So classrooms are small. It really provides the opportunity for students to engage with the university and with faculty, and perhaps to have the opportunity to work side by side on projects with faculty, like researching or designing robotics or developing sustainable farming practices, etc. We have over 200 different student organizations. And if you'll actually, please proceed to the next slide. I have some pictures. So some of the student organizations are offered through the Associated Students, which is a student-led nonprofit auxiliary of Chico State. So it's kind of organized by students for students. And so they have it all. They have, you can run for student government with the Associated Students as a national student exchange student as well. You can do a workout at the Wildcat Recreation Center. They also have a new campus facility called the Wellness Center, where there are nap pods. They do yoga, meditation, etc. They put on outdoor concerts and so on. And so just kind of circling back to student support and services, one of the university's strategic priorities is equity, diversity, and inclusion. So that's really at the heart of the values of what Chico State holds. And basically that means is that we are committed to cultivating and nurturing a welcoming and inclusive campus where students and faculty and staff all have an equitable opportunity to thrive, right? So our office is actually located in the Student Services Center at Chico State. And so in the Student Services Center, you have all sorts of support services, such as the Accessibility Resource Center. Casey and I work in the same building. We have the Student Learning Center. We have the Counseling and Wellness Center. We have TRIO Student Support Services, the Career Center, etc. So it's all kind of in one place where you can find all sorts of support. In addition, we also have the Dream Center, the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, a Safe Zone program, a First Generation Student Association, Tribal Relations, just to name a few additional resources on campus that provide access for students. So in terms of spring 2024 National Student Exchange, Chico State is still an opportunity. We are open on host payment tuition for next semester. So we hope to welcome you to the Wildcat family. And without further ado, I'll hand it off to Casey to talk about the Accessibility Resource Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenya. And I'll say first, I can absolutely attest to what Kenya is saying about Chico State being a warm and welcoming town and college. I'm a new transplant. I moved here about 3 months ago. And in my experience, everyone in the college, students, staff, faculty, and the town as a whole has been so warm and welcoming. So definitely can attest to that. Here at the Accessibility Resource Center, we provide accommodations and support to students with disabilities. So we try to take a holistic approach when working with students and provide accommodations not only for academic life, but also for student life as well, to try to make sure that the entire campus is as accessible as possible. So we try to have as much of a presence on campus in terms of advocacy and education for everyone on our campus. Types of disabilities that we serve, all different types. Chronic health, potentially people with physical disabilities, learning disabilities, and a growing population that a lot of students are not aware of, that they can receive accommodations for any mental health disabilities, diagnosis of anxiety, depression, um, ADHD, and also sensory disabilities, blind, low vision, deaf and hard of hearing. And a lot of our advisors in the office here, there are 4 of us, we all have kind of our specialties. So I am the deaf and hard of hearing service coordinator. I have 11 years experience interpreting myself. And we have advisors here who specialize in working with students with autism spectrum disorder, other sensory disabilities, blind and low vision. And we also work in collaboration with a special office on campus. And that office is called the Technology, Equity, and Inclusion Office. This office provides technical support and training to all students on campus, but they also provide assistive technology. So the process when working with ARC is to apply for services. We schedule an intake meeting with you, and we can do that virtually. The intake meeting takes about an hour, and it's a really interactive process where we talk about you, the student, and we talk about any challenges or barriers to education you might face. And we'll brainstorm accommodations to help mitigate those barriers. After that intake meeting, we ask you for some documentation. And this is where we can work with your home school to receive documentation and also work with your advisors if you are already registered at your home school with their accessibility office. After that, we'll go over your eligibility, and then we'll refer you to our assistive technology department. There, they will do an assessment with students to see what types of assistive technology could be beneficial to them. So for example, screen reader software, magnifiers, FM devices, reading services, all different kinds of assistive technology for our students. And then we set you up with accommodations. And we really believe here at Chico that students have the right to control their own accommodations. So we have students administer those accommodations or request them themselves. That means that you would go on a portal and you would let your professors know you have accommodations, but your professors would not know anything more than that, just the accommodations you're approved for and nothing about your diagnosis. Accommodations could include alternative testing, which would include what David had mentioned earlier, taking exams in a distraction-reduced environment, potentially extended time. Other accommodations are assistive technology, and we have CART services on here too. So this would be for students who might have difficulties with moving across campus. We have a CART service that will take students to and from their classes or wherever they park on campus. We also provide temporary accommodations for students who might be experiencing a temporary disability. So if a student unfortunately breaks an ankle while they're doing something super active and outdoors in Chico, we will help you get to and from class. So we have a lot of accommodations, and The other thing that we do here in our office is we work very closely with students to advocate on your behalf with your professors to make sure that your accommodations are met. So we consider ourselves also faculty liaisons. We know that you want to be focused on your academics and experiencing a new town, hopefully Chico. And so we want to work with your professors if you ever come across any sort of issue or barrier or need assistance with making sure you get your accommodations. And we keep an open line of communication with you and your professor. The last thing I'll say about ARC, which I think is really unique and I've not necessarily seen at the other colleges I've worked at, is we have academic coaching. So we have a team of coaches who are specially trained by our office to work with our students. And we focus on organization, planning, executive functioning skills, self-care, and take that kind of holistic approach. So it's not necessarily an accommodation, but it is a service that we offer to students to help them get organized and balance their academics and their personal life. On screen here, we have our QR code if you're interested in taking a snap and looking at our homepage to see some of the other services we offer.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Casey and Kenya.
Can I jump in real quick, Lydia, with one
Yeah,
other
for sure.
that just came to mind? So I've worked with a few students going away on exchange that had some sort of scholarship or tuition reduction regarding their accommodation. Specifically, one was a blind student, and our state has a tuition waiver available. Those, for my students, it was available to them on exchange when a student went on home payment. So, but every campus, every state is going to be different. So with regard to financial aid, including any sort of tuition reductions or things like that, talk to your home campus financial aid office to determine whether or not they're transferable through the program. Again, on my campus, in my case, my students had access to their funding. So talk to your home campus coordinator about yours.
Yeah, so the rest of the time together today, we wanted to just kind of have more of a conversation, give you an opportunity to connect with any of the coordinators here on the call, any of the institutions that are represented. So we've got the University of Minnesota Twin Cities with David, Iowa State University with me, and then Cal State Chico with Kenya and Casey. So if you have any questions about those institutions, or again, just kind of generally what the process could look like for you, we would love to have a conversation with you about that. We also don't want to let you off the call without reminding you to stay connected. So we'd love to see you follow us on Instagram. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. And that's a really good way to stay kind of plugged in and connected with what's going on across NSE. It's a lot all the time. And we want to make sure you don't miss out on any of the important updates or news or exciting locations you can go on. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We don't have the breakout rooms set up. What do you think, colleagues here? Should we open up some breakout rooms or leave everybody in one space?
We're down to a small group of folks here, so I think we could well, I guess tell us if you would prefer to have a conversation in the breakout room, anybody that's here. Otherwise, I think that we could chat as a big group. There is a question for, oh, there we go. I see. Thank you, Casey, for answering that question in the chat. We have one more person that has joined us.
Hi, Karen. It's nice to see you again today. I think we connected yesterday.
Good to see you too. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Lyons. I appreciate your answer. I'm still reading through it.
Oh, sure. I could go into a little bit more detail. So attendance flexibility is kind of a rare accommodation because our professors are so understanding at Chico State. And normally what we do is we ensure that students and professors work together to kind of use what is already built into the syllabus about regarding like allowable absences if a student has a chronic health disorder, which might limit their in-class attendance. So the first thing that we do for students who are full-time students at Chico is we offer priority registration so that they can choose a class format that fits their needs the best, as well as a time of day that fits their needs. Um, and also we could potentially, depending on documentation and our intake process, support students with attendance flexibility. And this involves an interactive process with the advisor, the student, as well as the instructor for each class. And we kind of come to an agreement and use a memorandum of understanding, a contract basically, which would kind of outline the professor's expectations and the student's potential need to miss class for a disability related instance. And we come to an agreement to allow a student to potentially take absence if they need to, in addition to what's already allowed in the class. Did that help to clarify?
One thing actually that Casey just mentioned that I should have definitely elaborated on before, Chico State actually, for students that are placed at our campus with NSE, we do have priority registration for all National Student Exchange students. So that's something that is pretty unique. And that is one of the benefits of considering Chico State during the priority period. And during the direct period, if you're thinking about Chico State for spring, acting quick since registration is just around the corner. That's still definitely something that can be considered. There is a window for priority registration in late October, and that's something we can definitely work with if you're thinking about Chico State for spring 2024. I did see one of them. Oh, there we go. Iowa State's related. Nice. I did see one of the microphones unmute, and I don't think I heard anything, so just want to check in.
Oh, I think that was me. I just said thank you.
Nice. Thanks.
Casey, you were sharing about the coaching, and I am excited to share that Iowa State just started doing that this semester. So we got a pilot grant with some kind of institutional money that popped up, and so that's piloting right now. It's a collaboration between the Student Accessibility Services Office, or SAS kind of as we call it around here, and our Academic Success Center. So actually our NSE office is in the same building as both of those, and so my colleagues in SAS are just through the wall, and Academic Success Center is upstairs. So as part of our orientation, we literally walk by and then walk up or take the elevator up to those spaces and help get students connected there. So the specific program is called Executive Function Coaching, and they're also doing accountability groups. So it's just a time to get together with folks who need that kind of accountability or space. It's kind of like a study lab. So you just check in and you can study kind of in community or in a quiet space just by yourself. Bye, David. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
So again, we're happy to answer any questions kind of generally about National Student Exchange or maybe sports specifically about our institutions. Yeah, we'd love to help. I think David put earlier in the chat, the list of campuses may be still open. Yeah. Yep. Cool. Well, if there isn't anything else, we want to thank you for taking time to join us today to learn more about NSE. We hope you'll stay connected with us, either with nse.org, with your coordinator on your home campus, or with us on social media. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.